the middleman, on a loan, a refrigerator, and the proxy we built so we would never have to want anything directly. It is a Saturday, and you are not yourself, and being not yourself has made you generous. You have taken a small amount of a mushroom, nothing ceremonial. A quiet afternoon, the window's doing that thing the light does when you are slightly wired than usual, and somewhere in the second hour a feeling arrives that you have no defense against. You want to know how your friends are, not how they are to you, not what they can do for you, just how they are. The wanting has no hook on it. You pick up the phone and you start reaching. One of them is a man you have known since you were both children, middle school. The kind of friendship that has no origin you can locate because it predates the part of you that keeps records. You call him, it rings out, you text. Nothing comes back. You think nothing of it because the feeling you are inside of does not keep score. You set the phone down and the afternoon closes over the small unanswered thing like water. Days pass. The chemistry leaves your body. You become yourself again, which is to say you become someone who keeps score without noticing he is doing it. And then he surfaces. Not to ask how you are. He needs money. Here is the part I want to slow down on because everything else in this essay is hiding inside it. In the half second before any thought arrives. Before the sensible voice that says, you never lend friends money. Before the math. Before the memory of the unanswered call. Something in your hand closes. You feel it as a physical event. A small clench with no sentence attached to it yet. The body has already voted. The mind is just walking over to read the results. Then the sentences come, and the first one is not about money at all. It is, why are you asking me? Not your business partner, not the bank, not the family you came from. Me. And underneath even that, smaller and more naked, the question the whole night turns out to have been about, where am I on that list? You do not give him what he asks for. You do not refuse him either. You give him half. You tell yourself this is prudence. It is not. Half is the exact mathematical shape of a heart divided in two and keeping a ledger on both sides. You will later admit, plainly, what the half was for. You were testing out the friendship to see whether he would pay back. You ask him why he hasn't gotten a line of credit through his business. You ask what he even needs it for. The answer is 2 air fryers he does not need yet, and something about a crypto wallet he can't get to because his holdings are on a device in another country. The reasons are thin in the way reasons are always thin when both people know the money was never really the subject. He says he'll send it back next week. It is next week. You have not heard from him. Notice what your mind did with all of this. I will tell you what mine did, because I have been the one with the closed hand in the open ledger, and the move is the same every time. It built a cathedral. Within an hour of the closed hand, I was no longer thinking about my friend. I was thinking about money, what it is, where it comes from, why none of us were taught it, how the whole apparatus is a kind of agreed upon fog. I had a theory of value. I had the energy underneath the abstraction. I had, God help me, opinions about the gold standard. The theory was not wrong. That is the dangerous part. The cathedral is structurally sound. It is also, every single time, a building erected at speed directly on top of a small, hot, specific moment so that I do not have to keep standing in it. The moment was, a friend I love asked me for something, and I felt myself withhold, and I could not tell whether I was protecting myself from him or from something much older than him. The cathedral was, let us discuss the nature of money. So let us. But not the way the cathedral wants to. The cathedral wants to talk about money so it never has to talk about the hand. We're going to follow the money precisely until it leads us back to the hand, because that is where it was always pointing. Money is stored energy. We have all heard this, or some wellness-adjacent version of it, and the version we have heard is soft. The real thing has teeth. Everything money buys, someone's body paid for an effort. The gold did not lift itself out of the mountain. The grain did not thresh itself. Even the abstraction we call savings is, at the bottom, hours of somebody's one and only life converted into a number that can be kept. That is what a number in an account is, energy that has been talked out of perishing. And energy that has been talked out of perishing is the most useful thing a frightened animal has ever invented. Watch what storage does in the world before money gets near it. The farmer puts grain by against the year the rain does not come. That is honesty, a body in relationship with a real winter. The squirrel buries acorns in 100 places and forgets most of them, and the forgetting is not a failure of the system. The forgetting is the system. The acorns it never returns for become the forest. Its hoarding fails the hoarder and feeds the whole. Nature builds storage that leaks on purpose. Now the harder one, Before refrigeration, a tribe that brought down a large animal had a problem the animal solved for them. The meat would rot. It could not be kept. So it had to move fast through the whole group before it spoiled. The hunt was dangerous, and not everyone who walked out came back with a kill, so the one who did was bound to share. And the binding was a thing the meat itself enforced, not a virtue anyone had to be talked into. Refuse to share, and you were exiled. In some tellings, killed. What held the community together was brutally simple. Energy went bad if you tried to keep it. Perishability was the social contract. Rot was the thing that made us need each other. And in the sentence that turns the whole history over, the one easy to toss off as an aside and walk straight past, storing money, storing energy is like the refrigerator. That is the hinge. Everything turns on it. I am not claiming a clean chronology. No one can date the death of obligation, and the tribe is a parable as much as a fact. I am claiming a shape. The refrigerator did not only preserve food, it dissolved the obligation perishability had been enforcing since before we were the kind of creature that has a word for obligation. When the meat stopped going bad, the reason to carry it to the tribe went with it. It could be kept now, so it was kept. Money is the refrigerator without walls. It is the technology that took the one thing keeping us bound to each other, the fact that energy spoils if you hoard it, and abolished it at infinite scale. Stored energy that never rots. That can pass to your children and their children, sealed, cold, untouched by the seasons that used to force its hand. We did not lose community. We did not misplace it or have it taken. We refrigerated our way out of needing it, and we called the refrigerator prudence. This is why the hand closes. The hand is not mean. It is a creature standing in front of an open refrigerator. It has been taught is the only thing between it and a winter no one can name. Give hath. Keep the cold air in. There is a darker turn in the tribe story. In the tribe, the one who refused to share was the one who got exiled. The hoarder was the criminal. The social punishment fell on the person who kept energy that should have moved. Run the same machine in the present and watch where the punishment lands now. The man who keeps everything is respected, prudent, secure, what your parents quietly hoped you would become. And the one who gives freely, who lends to the friend without the ledger, who opens the hand, is the one we have a word for. The word is not generous. The word is naive. You will hear it in the advice that comes wrapped as wisdom. Never lend a friend money. Treat it as a gift you will not get back. Assume the loss. Listen to what that advice instructs. It tells you to give while expecting nothing, which sounds spiritual, until you notice it is teaching you to pre-grieve the friendship so the eventual betrayal cannot reach you. It is armor sold as grace. The punishment did not disappear when we left the tribe. The punishment inverted. We no longer exile the man who won't share. We exile the man who does. Not loudly, not with a counsel and a spear, but with the soft, total violence of pity. He gave it all away. Poor thing, he never understood how the world works. And here is the discomfort I cannot write my way out of, so I will leave it in. When my friend asked, the wisest sounding voice in my head was the one telling me to assume I would not be paid back. That voice felt like maturity. It was the voice of the inversion, speaking in my own accent, teaching me to call the closing of my hand experience. I want to set one image next to all of this and let it do the work that the argument cannot. In the old teaching lineages, there is a practice around what the student gives the teacher, not a fee. The student brings something that costs them. In the stories, it is often the single most treasured object they own, a comb passed down through a family, a thing with no resale value and infinite personal weight. The teacher does not need the comb. The teacher has no use for it at all. That is the entire point, and it took me a long time to understand it. Nothing is being bought here. The teacher's not needing the comb is precisely what makes it work. What is being transferred is not the object. What is being transferred is the loss. The teaching lands with the same weight as the thing the student tore out of their own life to receive it. You hold what you received at exactly the reverence of what it cost you. Give nothing, and you have learned nothing. The teacher withheld nothing. You never open the part of yourself that learning requires opening. The comb is the wound that lets the teaching in. Now hold money up against the comb and see what we have actually built. Money is the technology that lets you pay without losing anything of yourself. A number leaves the account and not one cell of you goes with it. And here is the slight the whole argument has been walking toward. That number was life. Yours, if you earned it. The stored hours of the only one you get. Money's true genius is darker than its frictionlessness or its cleanness. It lets you spend congealed life and feel nothing leave. The energy went in. The losing never comes out. We made it possible to give while losing nothing, and then stood confused about why nothing we give feels sacred anymore, and why the free thing is the thing nobody values. We think the problem is that we are stingy. The problem is stranger and worse. The problem is that we engineered the loss out of giving, and the loss was the whole sacrament. The student's comb and the customer's tapped card are opposites, not points on one scale. One is a piece of a life. The other is a number that costs the giver nothing, which is why we can do it all day and feel nothing at the end of the day and call the nothing convenience. The free thing and the paid thing arrive the same way. Whoever receives them risks nothing to get them. The receiver loses nothing, so the receiver reveres nothing. That is why the free essay is read and forgotten, and why the expensive seminar is revered though it said less. The money let the buyer feel they had paid in the old way. They had not. We confused the price with the loss. They were never the same thing. Money made sure we would never have to learn the difference. Michael Singer uses an image I have not been able to put down since I first heard it, and it ends the argument by quietly removing the floor from under it. Picture yourself washed up on a deserted island. Alone, no rescue. And washed up with you, intact, is a crate containing $1 billion in paper currency. Do you want it? The paper is unchanged. It is the same paper that, 3 weeks ago, you would have done almost anything to be standing next to. What vanished is the agreement. Money was never the thing. It was a story so widely and continuously believed that we forgot it was a story. On the island, no one is left to keep telling it, and it reverts to what it always was underneath the consensus, paper, and not even good paper. You cannot eat it. You cannot drink it. You cannot, on the island, do the one thing money exists to do, which is stand between you and what you want. Because that is what it does. That is the whole function. Singer says something elsewhere that belongs welded to this: I care less who you pray to than what you pray for. Watch what people pray for, and you will find they almost never pray for the thing. They pray for the proxy. More money, which is more refrigerator. The right person, who turns out, often enough, to be the wrong person wearing the right person's face. We do not pray for joy. We pray for the instrument. We believe will, eventually, by some route we never quite have to look at directly, deliver joy. So here is the question at the very bottom of all of it, the one that will not stop turning. Why go for the middleman? Money is middleware. It is the layer we inserted between ourselves and every single thing we want, so that we would never have to walk straight at any of it. The friend did not want money. He wanted whatever the money was a proxy for and could not say it, so he asked for the proxy. You did not want to keep the money. You wanted the security the unspent money stood in for, and could not feel safe without the proxy in hand. Two people negotiating proxies, neither saying the thing. And what is on the other side of the proxy, traced all the way down? Not money. Money was never anyone's final answer to anything. On the other side is joy, is the sense of being held, is, in the oldest vocabulary we have, God. And the strange, almost unbearable fact the island makes plain, none of those were ever for sale. There is no exchange rate. The middleman cannot reach them because the middleman was invented precisely so we would not have to. So what is there to do once you have seen this and cannot unsee it? The impulse will be to reform something. The banking system, spending, the story itself. Notice that the reform impulse is the cathedral again, wearing work clothes. There is one currency the whole argument has been circling toward, and it is the one you cannot reform because you cannot keep it. Attention, the one form of energy that has never been refrigerated and never can be. You cannot store the attention someone gave you. You cannot hoard it, cannot pass it to your children, cannot put a stranger's full presence in a trust. It perishes the instant it is spent, precisely like the meat that had to move through the tribe before it's spoiled. The only honest currency left is the one that goes bad the moment you try to keep it, which means it is the only thing we exchange that still works the way energy worked before we broke it. When a person gives you their undivided attention, the meat is moving through the tribe again. When you finish a thing someone made and carry it, alive, to the one other person who needs it, that is the kill being shared before it rots. We have one perishable left. We are using it to scroll. And even attention is not the floor. The Tibetan monks build the sand mandala over days, bent over it, breathing carefully so the colored sand does not scatter, rendering a universe in a precision that would take a museum to ensure. And when it is finished, when it is at its most beautiful, they sweep it away. Not in spite of the beauty, because of it. The sweeping is not the destruction of the teaching. The sweeping is the teaching. Money is the refusal to sweep. Money is the mandala photographed, framed, insured, and entered into the estate. There is a phrase for the other way, nirkama karma, the Gita's action without attachment to its fruit, or in plainer words, you serve, and then you let go of the serving. The saint does this with his whole life. Francis takes the vow of poverty to deliberately unplug the refrigerator, to reintroduce, on purpose, into a civilization built on permanence, the perishability that forces a creature to be caught by something other than its own stores. Jesus, with nowhere to keep anything, the foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Read for centuries as deprivation. It is closer to the opposite, a man who has fully unplugged a refrigerator and is therefore, at every moment, in the only condition where you can find out whether you are held. I would like to end here on the swept sand and let you think I have arrived somewhere. I have not. I have built the thing this essay argues for. I have given my work away with no hook in it. I have designed an offering priced at nothing but its bare cost, with the rest left in the old way to what a person feels they received, Dana, the gift that names its own weight. I know the argument from the inside, and I will tell you exactly where I am, because the only thing I have that is worth your attention is the truth. The first thought I have, when any idea arrives, is still, how do I make money from this? Not the second thought. The first. It arrives before the idea has finished forming, fully built, like it was installed. And when someone thanks me for the free thing, something in me lights up that I do not entirely respect. The small, warm, egoic glow of being seen, which is the ledger again, keeping its books in a currency I told you I had transcended. They say the easiest person to fool is yourself. I have just written 3,000 words that could, read in a certain light, be the most elaborate fooling yet. The cathedral? One more time, with better acoustics. The refrigerator door is open. I am standing in front of it in the cold light, having just explained to you, at length, and I think correctly, exactly what a refrigerator is. The friend still has not paid back the half. I notice I am still counting.